Our next major category is to be able to source the documents, especially once you're able to see what the author has used. You want to see if they're able to evaluate the document and the significance of the documents based on either the author's point of view, the author's purpose, or the historical situation, what we call the occasion, for at least 3 documents. And this is not easy to do, but I'm hoping you're able to make at least some attempts and hopefully are successful in maybe 1 or 2 instances of this here. So again, you're going to take the opportunity to read the documents once again. So I would say skim through and see where the author has attempted this in the particular piece, to whether or not they have utilized the methods that we have taught in class here. And so what I've laid out again are the 3 major topics here: the occasion / historical context, the author's point of view, and the purpose for a particular audience. And if they were able to at least attempt it, go ahead and mark this box here just to demonstrate, look, we're glad to see that you've made that particular attempt. And if they were successful in any of the means here, you're going to go ahead and click the boxes where they were. So if they use point of view, go ahead and make that click right there. But let me provide some samples of what it might look like. So if we look at document number 2, using point of view, looking at Count Witte and what he did with the Russian government, here's one sample here. Witte highlights the Russian government's involvement in raising tariffs and allowing for foreign capital investment. So this is part of the document identification and supporting the argument. Here's the sourcing part of it. As a key bureaucrat, so this is from his point of view here, Witte is quick to defend his own policies, even though, quote, there were very weighty arguments against his suggestions. Witte is definitely trying to preserve his own job. His job depends on the success of whether or not what he does actually works and what doesn't. And so he's highlighting particularly to the Tsar that, look, my ideas work. Despite all the criticism, it's going to work, so hold on, try them, and so forth. But it demonstrates government involvement in the process. So this is an example of point of view, and if you're able to successfully do that, go ahead and for document number 2, go and click in author's point of view. And you'll note that these boxes will start to highlight once you get these clicked off. Purpose for a particular audience. Document 7 depicts women suffering from awful working conditions, and Potsdokaya aims to show British women that the struggle for women's rights is universal and that the struggles of Russian women can be helped by the British suffrage movement. So in other words, if the British women gain suffrage, basically it's going to be a big step for women's rights in other countries, even though no matter how far away, it may actually gain from that particular instance there. So this is purpose for a particular audience, addressing the British audience that this magazine is going to, and in the end coming back to the notion of the awful working conditions in Russia. But this is purpose for a particular audience, and so if that's the case, you're going to go ahead and mark the single spot here, and it'll start to add up some points. And lastly, this is the occasion or historical context. This is document 5, when we're talking about the women in the factories. While data in document 5 shows that most women had enjoyed their time in the factories, this contradicts most experiences that people had in industrial factories. So it's laying out that factories are still awful. The women's viewpoints may shifted from the time they were asked to recollect their thoughts, because they may have suffered from World War II and see their times in the factories more positively than it probably would have in this case. So the long span of time, a major event in between, that demonstrates historical context of this particular piece. And if that's the case, they're able to get the sourcing point here and address and get the AP hope that you would get 3 or more.